Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Today's a beautiful Wednesday, and we are absolutely buzzing with excitement to dive into the latest developments in Port Charles. Grab your favorite mug of coffee, settle in, and let's unpack the sheer brilliance of what's unfolding on our screens right now. I am absolutely giddy over the way the writers are handling Michael Corinthos right now. When I heard about the setup for Tuesday's show, Michael arranging for Willow and Chase to run into each other. Alone in their bathing suits down by the boathouse, I actually cheered at my screen. I know a lot of people are complaining that Michael was becoming too irredeemable or that this cheating trap is too convoluted, but I genuinely think we're missing the point if we don't see the dark genius in this. I feel like this is the best they've written Michael in years because it finally embraces the ruthless Corinthos Quartermain DNA that has been simmering beneath his golden boy exterior. The sheer audacity to orchestrate a half-naked encounter between his wife and her ex-husband. I think the writer's choice to use the boathouse, a setting that feels so isolated and intimately tied to Quartermain history, is brilliant. It makes me feel this impending sense of doom for Willow. Let's talk about Willow's mindset as she walks into this trap. In my opinion, the way I interpret her current emotional state, she is a walking open wound. After that gut-wrenching scene where she broke down. In tears to Chase, admitting she doesn't want to be married to Drew anymore and confessing she is guilty of so much, she is completely primed for a massive fall. I feel so incredibly heartbroken for her, yet simultaneously thrilled by the narrative tension. I believe Michael knows exactly what he is doing. He is weaponizing her vulnerability when she sees Chase down by the water looking like the safe harbor. He desperately craves, I think the visual framing in that scene is going to be everything. I'm so invested in this because it's not just a trap. It's a psychological dismantling of Willow Kane, and I feel like the packing is absolutely perfect. Then we have Harrison Chase, who is blissfully unaware of the puppet strings Michael is pulling. I love the upcoming dialogue where Chase warns Justinda Bracken about Michael, when Chase tells her that if Michael seems too good to be true, it's because he is. I felt this overwhelming sense of vindication. I think Chase is absolutely right here. And here is why their conversation backed up. My take. Chase has been burned by Michael's self-righteousness before, and he sees the cracks in the facade. But what makes this dynamic so delicious to me is that Justinda is going to listen to Chase trash Michael, hear all the ways he hurt Willow, and still side with Michael in the end. I know the fandom might find Justinda frustrating for this, but I actually think her siding with Michael is a phenomenal writing choice. It shows just how charming and manipulative Michael can be when he turns on the charm. I feel like this highlights the tragic irony of Chase trying to save others while walking blindly into his own destruction. Shifting gears to the absolute powerhouse that is Tracy Quartermain. I am completely in awe of the storyline involving Tracy Brooklyn and Lucy taking the fight directly to Jen Sidwell. When Lucy questions whether confronting a dangerous criminal at Windermere is the best way to handle things, I actually laughed out loud. Of course, it's a terrible idea on paper. But Tracy remaining adamant that they have to make Sidwell believe they'll expose his illegal dealings to push him out of deception is pure unadulterated. Tracy, I feel like this is the exact kind of high-stakes corporate espionage mixed with mob-level danger that makes this show iconic. I think the decision to have them confront him at Windermere, that dark Gothic, isolated castle instead of the sterile deception offices, was a masterstroke. It visually raises the stakes. Windermere always feels like a place where bad things happen, and seeing our deception ladies march in there makes me feel so incredibly proud of their bravery. Jen Sidwell's reaction is exactly what I was hoping for. When he finds out what Lucy, Tracy, and Brooklyn are up to, he's going to be absolutely furious and ready to strike back. I genuinely believe that Sidwell is one of the best films we've had in a long time because his menace feels so grounded in corporate greed and physical danger. I know some viewers are saying the deception storyline is dragging, but I actually think the slow burn is exactly what's needed because I feel like it has allowed Sidwell's toxic roots to dig deep into the company. The way I interpret it, Tracy is playing a game of chicken with a man who has no moral compass. When Tracy eventually wraps up the Windermere drama and heads back to the Quartermain property, only to witness that close moment between Chase and Willow, I feel like my heart is going to stop. The overlapping of these storylines, Tracy fighting a corporate war only to stumble into Michael's domestic trap, is just spectacular plotting. Now, let's talk about the emotional weight over at the PCPD. I am so deeply moved by the upcoming scene between Elizabeth Baldwin and Lulu. When Liz admits that there are things Lulu doesn't know about her involvement in the whole Rocco Falconer mess, I felt a lump in my throat. I think Liz confessing that she was the one who figured out Rocco was Ross Cullum's shooter, and that she told Dante first is going to be a massive emotional hurdle for these two women. I know a lot of people are saying Liz should have gone straight to Lulu, but I actually think her going to Dante makes perfect sense given their history and his role as a cop. I feel like the writers are honoring the deep, complicated history between Liz, Dante, and Lulu. The way I see it, Liz was trying to protect a child in a seemingly impossible situation. I am bracing myself for Lulu's reaction, but I believe this conversation is necessary for both. Characters to heal. Looking at this from Lulu's perspective, my heart just aches for her. The way I interpret her current storyline, she is a mother who woke up from a coma to find her entire world rearranged, and now her son is on the run with Britt Westbourne. I think Lulu hearing this confession from Elizabeth is going to sting not out of malice, but out of a profound sense of maternal helplessness. I love the way the writers have been building Lulu's quiet desperation over the past few weeks. When she realizes that Liz held this piece of the puzzle, I feel like it's going to force Lulu to confront just how out of the loop she has been in Rocco's life. But I genuinely think we're missing the point if we view this as a simple cat fight. To me, this is two mothers navigating an unprecedented crisis. I feel so incredibly relieved that the show is letting these women talk it out rather than resorting to cheap soap slaps. It feels mature, grounded, and deeply emotional. And then we have the absolute tension of Lucas Jones interacting with Detective Joe Fitzpatrick. I am so here for Lucas finally stepping up and playing in the major leagues with Sonny and Laura. When Lucas tells Joe that he has information on Marco Rios' murder and suggests that Joe needs to talk to Pascal, I was practically screaming at my television. I think Lucas is playing a very dangerous game here. Joe asking why Lucas is just now coming forward with this information is the perfect response. I believe Joe Fitzpatrick is one of the most fascinating new additions to the canvas because he radiates this quiet, suspicious energy. I feel like this is the best they've written Lucas in a long time because he is no longer just on the sidelines. He is actively manipulating a police investigation to corner Pascal. The way I see it, Lucas is using his inherent trustworthiness as a doctor to sell this lie. And I find that character evolution utterly captivating. But let's dig deeper into Joe Fitzpatrick for a second. I know a lot of people are saying Joe is just another generic cop. But I actually think his slow integration into the canvas is exactly what's needed because I feel like he is hiding something massive. When Joe looks at Lucas with that intense suspicion, I interpret it as Joe protecting his own hidden agenda. We know Joe might secretly be working for Colum and Sidwell, and I think the writer's choice to have him be the one to receive Lucas's tip is a stroke of genius. It creates this incredible dramatic irony, where we, the audience, know that Lucas is inadvertently feeding information to the enemy. Every time Joe narrows his eyes, I get chills. I feel so incredibly anxious for Lucas, Sonny, and Laura because they have no idea that the walls of the PCPD are compromised. This is the kind of suspense that keeps me glued to the screen every single weekday. The tension doesn't stop there. Let's talk about the absolute masterclass in character dynamics that is about to happen at Carly's house. When Carly reluctantly lets Nina Reeves inside to speak with Valentine Cassadine, I can already feel the temperature in the room dropping. I love the way the show continues to play with the animosity between Carly and Nina, but forces them into these high-stakes alliances. I think Carly opening that door to Na is a testament to how dire the situation has become. When Na passes along the message from Jack Brennan, I feel like the entire landscape of the show is going to shift. I genuinely believe that Na's current storyline is her best era. Yet, she is no longer just fighting over a man. She is need in espionage, protecting Willow and acting as a liaison for paralyzed or faking it Brennan. I think Nena making her loyalty clear that her devotion to Willow comes above all else is the most beautiful redemptive arc for her character. When Valentine hears Brennan's message and tells Cararly that they're in even bigger trouble than he thought, my jaw practically hit the floor. I feel like Valentine is the perfect character to deliver this kind of ominous news because he is usually the smartest guy in the room. If Valentine Cassadine is scared, we should all be terrified. The way I interpret it, Brandon's message has to be about Jen's Sidwell Ross Cullum or the impending danger surrounding Josen Jacks at Windeer. I love the way the writers have positioned Valentine and Carly as this united front against the chaos. I know some fans miss Valentine with Anna, but I actually think his dynamic with Carly is exactly what's needed right now. Because I feel like they match each other's protective ferocity when Valentine realizes the scope of the threat. I think we are going to see him unleash a level of ruthless protection for Carly and her family that will be absolutely thrilling to watch. This leads perfectly into the revelation that Carly will soon visit Jack Brennan at Turning Woods for a conversation about Jocelyn and the danger she's in. I am so incredibly hyped for this interaction. I believe Carly and Brennan have this undeniable crackling chemistry that is built on mutual respect and a shared understanding of the criminal underworld. The way I see it, Carly going to a locked-in but secretly active Brennan proves just how desperate she is to save her daughter. I think the choice to have them meet at Turning Woods, a place of supposed healing that has become a prison of secrets, is brilliant. It makes me feel this suffocating tension. I feel like Carly is going to have to make a devil's bargain with Brennan to get Joss out of Haskell and Cassius's clutches. I am so deeply invested in Carly's fierce maternal instincts taking the wheel, and I genuinely think this upcoming scene will be an Emmy-worthy performance. Finally, we cannot ignore the looming threat of Ross Cullum spreading some serious news. I feel like Cullum is the dark cloud hanging over all of Port Charles right now. I know a lot of people are saying this storyline is too dark, but I actually think the intense life or death stakes are exactly what's needed because I feel like it pushes all our favorite characters to their absolute limits. When Cullum spreads this news, I interpret it as him tightening the noose around everyone involved in the Marco Rios and Rocco Falconer situations. I believe Cullum is playing psychological warfare. Is he spreading news about Britt and Rocco's whereabouts? Is he leaking information to flush out his enemies? Whatever it is, I think it's going to send shock waves through the canvas.